Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited. Let's just jump into it. I'm here to do my monthly wrap up, and if you're wondering why is this guy over here sitting next to me, that's because the first book that I'm talking about is one we actually both read this month, and I'm so excited.
The book's upside down.
Oh, I knew that. Well, first off, if you haven't read it, you guys already saw probably my standalone review of this, that you should read it. It really is amazing, but it was so good that it was a book we decided we would both read and discuss on the podcast, on the video podcast as well. We will have that out next week. So if you haven't already, I know I gave you guys a heads up, read this so you can join the discussion. We just finished filming it, and it was a pretty good discussion, and yeah, it's just a lot of interesting thoughts and stuff, and you guys know I loved it. So I guess tune in to see how Duane felt about it and also the conversation that we had with it. But read this, so good. A little bit backstory on it. The book is actually historical fiction and is based on a real reform school that was a little bit outside of Tallahassee, Florida, that was shut down in 2011. And the characters are fictional, but a lot of what was taken is factual, as well as the setting, as well as a lot of the historical elements that were surrounding the events. It follows the journey of primarily two young boys that were within that reform school, and the writing is just impeccable. That's all I will say. See my review if you want more of a reason to read it. If not, just wait till the discussion that we have next week. So look out for that. The next book that I read, and this is really the reason why Duane's over here on this wrap up. Duane did not read Queenie, but if you guys do not know, I posted a standalone review about this, and Duane was like, I want to talk about that. I was like,
that's not what happened.
That's not what happened?
I mean, I want to talk about it, but it's not, I want to talk about that. It's just that this book started a lot of conversation in the comments, and even among the other reviews that I saw, everything was mixed. But it seemed like everybody still wanted to talk about it, even if they felt bad about it, which I thought was interesting. So
you're so anyway. Right with that. That is so true. So let's get into it. So I'll just give a brief synopsis, and this is going to be a little bit different because this is more podcast-like structure with both of us here on my wrap up. But I feel like this book does deserve a little bit more of a conversation, especially after all of the dialogue below. So thank you to everybody who commented. I have to say that was a very engaging conversation below. There were so many viewpoints that were brought up, some that I hadn't even really dug into. But Queenie is about a young woman and growing up in London, and you're seeing her kind of dating patterns and all that other stuff, but also her trying to find ways to love herself or fall in love with herself. That's what I would summarize the book in. Now, I, on my review, said that while I felt the writing was really well and it was really well written, and I clearly finished the book. First off, I don't ever finish books if I'm not enjoying reading it. That's the first thing to know about me. I am not one of those people who will push through
100-page rule.
Oh yeah, Duane, what Duane's saying that is because I usually give books about 100 pages. If about 100 pages I'm not feeling it, why would I put myself through more than that? Some people might can do that, but for me, I'm reading for pleasure, and if it's not pleasurable like that, but if it's not something enjoyable, I'm not doing it. So clearly I finished the book. So this book, even with that, I wasn't saying y'all shouldn't read this, but it's kind of I can't recommend it.
An overview of what I saw people saying. Well, you want to say what you said first?
Oh yeah, what I said.
Just go bullet points.
Bullet points. Love the writing. Love the mental health factor. Loved how it tied in what a relationship with a therapist could look like and how you can get buy-in from your family even if at first they're not on board. What I didn't like, although I love flawed characters in the book, there's a point in the therapy where it comes to a head as to the reason why she makes a lot of these decisions is because of the fact that she's a Black woman. I just felt like it was very irresponsibly done in that way.
So the bullet points for what I saw people saying was they liked it, but they were disappointed in the conclusions being made in terms of the ending. People liked the mental health aspect and talking about stigma. They liked, they couldn't, a lot of people didn't like how the Black Lives Matter part was kind of seemed to be thrown in. Some people felt like it wasn't really a representation of Black women, and so most of the people that were commenting were Black women, and I never saw anybody agreeing. The only thing I saw people saying was that some people do feel the way that Queenie feels. And it's okay for those types of feelings to be represented in a book and not have an explanation for people who don't necessarily feel that way. I'm adding that second piece.
Yes, which I completely agree. I feel like if Queenie had came to that conclusion on her own, and if Queenie had said, you know, she feels this way and she feels like this is why, all this stuff, if it wasn't in the therapist setting where we're coming to this big conclusion and it's tied out and it's almost by having it in that setting that this is when it's uncovered, it seemed like it got the stamp of approval and it got the thing as to this is what Black women like. It seemed like it wasn't just someone who's not in their right mental state and who's going through a lot of different traumas and dealing with a breakup and is trying to figure out life and probably has some self-hatred things that she's trying to sort out. It almost made it seem like that was true. As far as the Black Lives Matter thing, that also bothered me a little bit, but I am not so quick to speak on it simply because I don't think that would have been the author's intention, so I can't really imply that. I don't know if she found a way to have it flow in naturally where it wouldn't feel so forced. Now, as far as what you were saying with it's okay for people to feel like that, again, I'm just going to reiterate, of course it's okay to feel like that. That's why with Insecure, when I was reading this, I was thinking so much of Insecure, the show, how, you know, we're human. We all make crazy decisions. We all do crazy things. I understand all of that. Everybody has those things that they do, even if it's not the same. Everybody has certain things. You're not going to be perfect 100% of the time. And in Insecure, I love how they tie it out. The difference is with Insecure, it felt natural and it felt real to me in the sense of Issa never really says it's because she's a Black woman as to why. I don't know. Like, it's just more so just living your life and doing things. And also, I can be biased again because Issa dates multiple races. She doesn't only date white men who are saying racist things. So she doesn't really deal with someone's family calling you a nigger and then that person blaming you for it.
Second thing, like we shouldn't have to know more about the author to know where she was coming from. The book should explain everything. Like, I shouldn't have to look up the author to see like what her background is or what she was really trying to say in the book.
Yeah, I can see that too. I wanted to because I actually feel like this is potentially a great writer. I just, again, like you said, maybe it really is just a completely different perspective. I don't know how things get down in London. I don't know how things get down in the UK and all that stuff. But also some of the characters, like the way I already gave that example, but like when she's saying like your typical Black woman, like she says some of these stereotypes within it. And it's like she believes in those stereotypes too. Like, she's not your typical Black Louboutin weave wearing Black woman with fake lashes.
But people say that all the time.
Who says that?
People on Twitter be saying that all the time.
About
like pick me's is what they be calling people who say stuff like that.
Oh, I don't know if she was. I don't think she.
I'm
was
not like these other girls.
Yeah, you're right. I guess, but I don't know. It's just weird.
I think if she wasn't a newer writer, people would have been a little bit more. I think people gave her leeway being new and didn't want to be as mean. Maybe.
I don't know. I think some people really just weren't bothered by it. It's not everything triggers people in the same way. Like, I think I was clearly probably more triggered, you know, and some other people were clearly probably more triggered, and some people were just probably like, it was good writing, so I enjoyed it. And some people are like, you know, even if it could possibly make crazy assumptions, that doesn't really bother them if they know what the truth is, which I get too.
Yeah.
Anything else to add on that?
Mm-mm.
Do you want to be in the rest of the wrap up, or are you good?
What's the next one?
Okay, so the next one is.
Wait, no, I didn't. I was asking so I can. No, I don't want to be in the rest of it.
Okay, wait. The next book that I finished in the month of July, Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany Jackson. One of my subscribers, Alicia, if you're watching, she continuously was, when you gonna read it? When you gonna read it? You need to be reading it. And I finally read it. And I was scared this book was going to tear me open, but I didn't know how much it was going to tear me open. Like, this book, I had my library copy I had to return, but I don't even know what to say about it. Like, I said I was going to do a standalone review, but I couldn't. It's about two young girls in DC in middle school, and one of them comes back from summer vacation and the other girl is missing. And it seems like she's the only person who seems to notice that Monday's missing or that cares, and it's kind of following all of that unraveling. You think you know where the book's going, and you really don't. And yeah, it's heartbreaking, but it deals with so many different things. And you know, I do love all of the culture and beauty that it brought to DC life and go-go and all of that, but it touched on some serious, real topics. And yeah, I'll be definitely looking out for more from the author. It was a really good book. Another book that I finished this month was Jacqueline Woodson's If You Come Softly. This was a really good book too. This was very, you know, Jacqueline Woodson, like everything she writes, just beautiful. This is an older book that I just never read of hers, and I decided to read it. This is about an interracial teen couple. She doesn't know if her parents are going to accept the fact that she is in an interracial relationship, especially after her sister's reaction, and he kind of wants her to introduce him to the family. But this book's another, just, it's so, you're there. Jacqueline Woodson has a way with words, and I shed some tears. Yeah. But it was very beautiful at the same time, which is always what she does. So yeah, so those are all the books that I read this month. Again, definitely stay tuned for next week for the podcast discussion, book club discussion on the Nickel Boys. It's going to be good. And I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Love and light, and deuces.